Redshift here, doing my part to shift perceptions out of the pink and into the red. I've seen this idea presented in multiple TV shows. I don't know how many, 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many, but I've definitely seen it presented more than once. This idea that the chick gets an opportunity to go to a great college or to get a great job, but oh no, it's away from her boyfriend, it's far away. And then her boyfriend is like, I support you. We're going to survive this. We'll just have a long distance relationship. It's important that you follow your dreams. I won't make you give up on that. This is just too good of an opportunity for you. You can't let it pass you by. I fully support you. You know, and I realized when I saw a recent example of this, I realized suddenly this is planning to fail. Because why can't she give up that opportunity? Why? Are they assuming that they're not going to last as a couple? If they're assuming they're not going to work as a couple, then why are they having sex? They shouldn't be doing that. And if the relationship is so committed and so serious, then why shouldn't she give up certain things for him? And plus, if they're serious and they're going to get married and have kids and stuff eventually, then she's going to eventually give up on her career eventually anyway. Or she should at least, so that she can be there to raise the kids. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're planning to fail right from the beginning. Because it's like she's going down two tracks at the same time. The relationship track and the career track. It's like a choice has to be made because those two tracks eventually diverge from each other. You know, why would she act like she doesn't have to give up one of those tracks? Why would she choose the career path even at the expense of the relationship? Why would she do that? There's really no reason to do that other than to have a backup plan in case the relationship doesn't work, or because she wants to have the option of being hypergamous at some point down the road, and so she wants to keep working so as to keep her access to higher status men, or she wants to keep her SMV high by her seeming to be independent and therefore not desperate because there's now a lot of stupid guys out there. You know, guys like top MGTOW men who think that women being in the workforce is a good thing because they don't realize that it drives down male wages. And they foolishly think women who don't work are merely parasites. She wants to keep her SMV high so that she can get a better boyfriend or get a new boyfriend if her current relationship doesn't work out. But any way you look at it, by continuing to work, she is planning to fail. She's planning for her relationship to fail, or is assuming it very well may. And if that's the case, it's like, why is she dating him in the first place? You know, or maybe she's planning to fail because it's like she values her career more than him, and thus her emphasis on her career is what's going to cause the relationship to fail, in which case the whole working is just a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm working because the relationship might fail, but the relationship might fail because I'm working. You see what I mean? This is retarded. You know, it's like, why would you need that backup plan of keeping your career on track if the relationship is really serious and really is going to work? You would not. You would not need any backup plan like that. A lot of women do give up their career for their man because they realize they don't want to do it. They're not good at it, it makes no sense, etc. But of course they then hold it against him. I gave up college for you, I gave up my job for you. But that's what she's supposed to do. You know, she shouldn't even be involved in that stuff in the first place. So she shouldn't even consider it a sacrifice to give that stuff up. You know, women should not be going to college. It's utterly ridiculous that, you know, XXers go to college. You know, XXers should not be in the workforce. That's ridiculous. To have XXers working or going to college is ridiculous. It's insane. So the very fact that the media is encouraging this is proof that they want to sacrifice relationships for their own bottom line, for their own profits, to keep wages low by keeping XXers in the workforce. They don't care if it destroys relationships, encourages hypergamy, encourages women to cheat when women move for a job or for a college and try to have a long-distance relationship with their boyfriend, but just end up cheating on him with one of the guys who she meets in the city that she now lives in. And, you know, her friends are probably going to encourage her to go out and dance with other guys and stuff. And she's like, you know, yeah, you're in a relationship, but you can live too. You know, like, doesn't mean you have to be dead. You know, so then she goes out dancing with some guy, gets drunk, and then she goes home with him. And then it's like, oh my God, I cheated. I didn't even mean to. You know what I mean? It's like her friends are not going to help her not, you know, avoid cheating on her boyfriend. Maybe they're not going to exactly encourage it, but they encourage the behavior that leads to cheating on her boyfriend because her boyfriend lives in another city, so she can't go out with him. She can't go out partying with him and stuff. You see, so it's like, you know, maybe she loves her boyfriend and feels bad about cheating and is not going to cheat again, but still she did it. You know, it still created a seed that makes it more likely that even if her boyfriend and her get married, she's already cheated on him once. You know, a time that he doesn't even know about, and thus when their marriage gets boring in 10 or 20 years, she'll be more likely to have an affair and leave him, or he'll find out about the affair and then he'll leave her, and of course that means he'll get divorce raped, he'll lose the kids, he'll lose all his money, but the corporations don't care. They want to make more money by keeping XXers in the workforce. And it's also proof that she doesn't have confidence in her romantic relationship if she chooses college or a job over her boyfriend, in terms of, you know, moving far away to continue pursuing her career, or her education or whatever. It's quite Orwellian to act like the opposite is true. You know, like we're going to stay together when I do this because I have so much confidence in my relationship. Or I have so much confidence in my relationship that I can feel confident doing this, moving away for this job or for college, and we don't have to break up because of it or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's utterly, utterly ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it other than that. That's how ridiculous it is. It's insanely ridiculous. Absolutely insanely ridiculous. There's no reason for XXers to be working. If they really had confidence in their relationship, they would actually invest everything in their relationship, right? If you're going to have a romantic relationship, then it should be serious. And if you're going to have a serious relationship where you're having sex, it should be serious. And if you have a serious relationship, you should be willing to sacrifice for each other. How else do you expect a marriage to last? And if you're not thinking it'll eventually end in marriage and kids, then why are you dating in the first place? You know what I mean? You're not going to do anything different in your marriage, so how do you expect it to last? Right? If you're unwilling to sacrifice for each other, how do you expect your marriage to last? You're not going to do anything different after you get married. You're just going to be making it official. But if you're having sex before you get married, then nothing changes really. It's just an official way of turning it into what it already was, that it's a serious relationship, right? So that very lack of investment in each other, lack of trust in each other, that very planning to fail attitude will carry on through into your marriage. She'll want that prenup, or she'll want him to let her see all the finances, or let him control all the or she'll want him to let her control all the finances, or see them all, or whatever, or have a say in what is done, because she doesn't want him hiding away any money, because she's assuming that he's planning to fail the way that she is, so she doesn't let him have total control of the finances. She wants to be all up in it, and then she's arguing with him about how the money's spent. She's not going to stay at home and raise the kids and have a gap in her employment history because, oh my God, I can't give up my career, etc., etc. It's just totally ridiculous. So this is just pure propaganda. It's disgusting. It makes no sense. It's totally Orwellian. It's totally destructive. Men need to start telling women, hell no, I will not date you if you have a job. Hell no, I won't date you if you have a bachelor's degree or worse, a master's or a PhD. Hell no, I'm not going to date a girl like that. Men should be like, sorry, I don't date women above the age of 24. A girl should be married by the age of 23. If she's not married by 23, 24, there's something wrong with her. I don't date women above the age of 24. I don't date women with anything more than a high school degree. I don't date them. I don't date women who are divorced. I don't date non-virgins. I only date virgins. I don't date women who work. I don't date women who live with their parents, etc., etc. Sorry, I don't date women who don't live with their parents is what I meant to say. That's what I wrote. Right? Like, I don't date women who are strong and independent. Like, men need to all start saying this. Men need to all start saying, I don't date women who work. I don't date women who are strong and independent. These women are assholes. These women are hypergamous, etc., etc. I only date women who are virgins and who live at home with their parents and are waiting for a husband. Men need to start saying that. If men all start saying that again and start forcing the top men to not even be able to not marry again, because polygamy could undermine that. Because men can't, if men all started doing that, it would not have any coercive effect if the top men all started marrying 2, 3, 4 wives because of a legalization of polygamy, because of someone taking it to the Supreme Court and polygamy being found to be, legal. And, Tom DeLay, I think it was, said that they're trying to legalize 12 perversions, and he listed a bunch of them. I think pedophilia, bestiality, polygamy, and a bunch of others. Right? So, they want to legalize polygamy, the elites do. So, and if they do, then the top men will just marry 2, 3, 5, 10 women. And then this will mean that men saying, no, I don't date non-virgins, I don't date women who work, I don't date women like that, that won't have any coercive effect. Because she'll be looking to, be the second or third or fourth wife of a top guy who maybe doesn't care if she works, or maybe doesn't care if she is not a virgin or whatever, right? Because maybe 1 or 2 of his wives were virgins. So he, doesn't care that she's not a virgin. Maybe he prefers that she's not a virgin because he wants to have one wife who's a good girl and he wants to have one wife who's a slut, He wants to have one wife who has a good moral character and he wants to have one wife who's evil, who's like him, So this is what's going to happen. So men have to still, again, either form communes or use, physical force, again, exsanguinate the top men who are being promiscuous or polygamous. This is the only way. Having standards for women is not going to work if the top men be polygamous, choose to start being polygamous. So, you got to have both. You got to both have standards for women and you got to use physical force to stop the top men from being polygamous, which could undermine the coercive effect of having standards for women. You see, if men start doing this, having standards for women, it'll incentivize women to stop having premarital sex, stop working, stop moving out of the house before they get married, stop going to college, etc. If tons of men start saying that they don't date women who work, then women will stop working. If men say, I don't date non-virgins, then women are going to stop having sex before marriage. If men say, I don't date women who have a college degree, women are going to stop going to college. Not because I'm insecure, not me or anybody, not because men won't say this because they're insecure, but they just don't want a stupid woman. You know what I mean? They want an XXer who is smart enough to know that a college degree for an XXer is a waste of time and is a waste of her fertile years. If men start saying that, then XXers will stop going to college and will start looking for a husband when those XXers are in high school. They will only be interested in finding a man who wants to court her. XXers will therefore stop riding the cock carousel. Men need to start having some standards. Men need to stick to those standards, and that takes willpower and discipline. And if men do that, then things will improve. Especially if men, form communes, use physical force to make sure that the top men don't pick up the slack by marrying more than one woman. But men need sex, and men want companionship, and men want to have kids. And so XXers are just going to assume that they can wait men out instead of changing their behavior. Instead of XXers changing their own behavior. They're going to think that they can ride the cock carousel all through their 20s, trying to get a top guy, a top 20% guy, and then settle for a 6 out of 10 guy or a 5 out of 10 guy when she realizes, when she's 29 or 30 years old, that she better settle down right the hell now before it's too late and her looks and fertility are gone. Then she'll settle down with some guy of her own SMV. They're going to assume, XXers are going to assume that they can keep doing that. So really, it's far better if men use violence against the top men to stop them from being promiscuous. Otherwise, the XXers are just going to think that they can just keep getting away with the cock carousel riding and all the rest of it. Or men could instead start publicly mocking women who think that they can ride the cock carousel and get away with it, which MGTOW is already doing, which is a wonderful thing. But I think men need to keep mocking these women in a traditionalist kind of way, which MGTOW is not really doing. I think it'd be very much more effective if men started mocking women who ride the cock carousel, saying, oh yeah, you think you're going to outweight me? Wait until we're both 35 and I'll settle, and then we'll see if I'll settle for you. No, you'll be 35, you'll be infertile, or even if you're still fertile, you'll be at the very end of your looks, and I'll still look good, and I'll be able to date an 18-year-old instead. I won't have to settle for you. I'll be able to get a younger woman. And if men start mocking XXers and pointing this out to XXers on a wide scale, then XXers are going to realize, holy shit, we can't outweight men. We are cutting our own throats by riding the cock carousel through our 20s. We got to stop this shit. We got to settle for guys of our own SMV. We got to cave. That might be what the XXers do. But again, men have to have some standards. Men have to have some discipline. Men have to say, we don't date these kinds of XXers. And then actually don't date those XXers. If men say they're not going to date those XXers, but men still do it, then it means nothing. You have to actually stop dating non-virgins. XXers who work, XXers over the age of 24, XXers with a bachelor's degree, etc. You have to stop dating those. Then you can perhaps start to get some real change, especially if millions of men do it. If millions of men do it for 10 or 20 years, then you might get some real change. But of course, then this won't this just cause XXers to become bisexual and polygamous? And won't XXers start promoting bisexuality and polygamy to other XXers, therefore getting even more XXers to choose to date other XXers, or choose to date men who already have a wife and who is looking for a third or fourth wife, or second wife? Won't that totally undermine the coercive power of men having standards? The point is, no matter how much men have standards, no matter how much men stick to those standards, and no matter how much men walk away from XXers, it will not change much because XXers will just become bisexual and polygamous in huge numbers. The only thing that can stop top men, from being the only thing that can stop this is, let's see, yada yada. Yeah, the only thing that can stop top men from being promiscuous, and the only thing that can roll back government tyranny, and the only thing that can force XXers to act better is the bottom 80% of men using physical force against top men who are being polygamous, using physical force against government, and using physical force against bottom 80% XXers who should be improving their morality instead of choosing to be polygamous to deal with the higher standards of bottom 80% men. That is the bottom 80% of men having higher standards. Right? Only violence can deal with all the problems. The only peaceful solution that can work is forming communes where no men are allowed into the commune unless those men can bring a single, preferably virgin woman into the commune with him. He doesn't have to be married, but he has to at least bring a female friend or his sister or somebody in. some girl who's single and at least in her 20s, let's say 26 and younger, 18 to 26 years old, she probably should not be over the age of 26. And then she can, marry one of the men in the commune, even if she can't marry the guy that she joined the commune with, such as when it's his sister who he's joining the commune with. If men are allowed into the commune without bringing in an XX-er with him, then it will create gynocentrism in the commune as the male XX-er ratio in the commune gets more and more unbalanced. And yet even forming communes is not enough, because without either a eugenic practice, like having half the kids in the commune be born from sperm bank sperm, there would be the problem of the elites using technology to engineer everyone else's IQs to be higher, and this will result in the commune being genetically corrupted. If you're letting in outsiders who have been genetically engineered, and they've been genetically engineered to have higher IQs, but also have genes of obedience bred into the men. You don't want that crap entering the commune, right? Or it will result in the commune not using such technology and falling behind the outside society, and thus, like, if you use the technology to engineer the people in the commune's IQs to be high, but then they might be, get those unintentionally have genes put into them that make them obedient, and that'll undermine the whole coercive, nature of the commune. Or the commune doesn't use technology to raise IQs, and then the commune falls behind, and then is doing things like the Amish. Even though everybody in the commune maybe is a 130 IQ or 120 IQ, they're like the Amish, essentially, because even though they use technology, they can't use it very well because everybody outside the society has 180, 200 IQs, whatever. So then they've fallen way behind. So the only way to both keep up and not be subject to the elites and their genetic engineering shenanigans, which they're going to do, such as breeding genes of obedience into men, the only way to avoid that is to use sperm bank sperm to raise every generation, to raise the IQs of the people in the commune by having half of everybody's kids be born from sperm bank sperm and half of the kids being born from the guy, the husband, sperm. You see? So you don't want to become irrelevant like the Amish, because you want the commune to have the power to eventually innovate the government out of existence, or else the tyranny will just grow and grow and grow, and then affect the commune even more and more and more also, right? And so the only ways to deal with the gynocentrism problem, the bad XX-er behavior problem, the simping, the government tyranny problem, the problem of the top men being promiscuous, which is the very cause of gynocentrism that we see in society. The only way to deal with this is to either, use physical force to overthrow the government, or form communes to use sperm bank sperm to raise the IQ of the commune higher and higher with each generation. Those are the only two ways to deal with the government problem. There are not enough coders to code the government out of existence without communes, especially eugenic communes like I'm talking about. And most of those coders are high IQ people with low testosterone, and so they're not rebellious. There's a lot of high IQ people out there, but they're not rebellious, and they're not moral, and they're not brave. They're not rebellious and brave enough to believe in absolute freedom or put their money where their mouth is, even if they do believe in absolute freedom. They're not brave enough to do any subversive coding because they're afraid of being thrown in prison by the government, right? So the only way to get a bunch of high IQ coders who are also compassionate and wise and brave and who believe in absolute freedom, the freedom of anarcho-capitalism, the only way to create a bunch of coders like that and to give those coders enough of a financial cushion so that they don't have to sell their souls by working for Microsoft or Google or Apple or some other company like that, the only way to create such coders and have them be taken care of so that they can use their time to code subversive code instead of code for a living for one of the evil multinational corporations that I just named, or another one like it, which results in them not wanting to code in their spare time because they're already busy coding all day long. They don't want to come home and code too. The only way to create a bunch of coders who want to do subversive code and have the time and energy and intelligence and rebelliousness and compassion to do so is to create a commune where half the kids of each generation are born from sperm bank sperm. The only other option is revolutionary or civil war, and obviously that is not preferable. The male disposability, the mass death, is the downside of civil war. But the upside is that the conservatives have most of the guns, and thus could probably slaughter tens of millions of liberals if they wanted to. Slaughtering half the country's men, the liberal men, would be a good thing in a certain sense, because it would get rid of much of the genes of passivity, cowardice, degeneracy, etc. And the men who would remain would be men who are wiser, braver, more faithful to their spouses, more own group preference oriented toward their own race, more active, more willing to use violence to solve problems, such as any tyranny that might arise in the future after the government is overthrown, etc. And the mass slaughter of all liberal men in the country would massively decrease the gynocentrism in the country as well, because there would be twice as many women as men in the society, thus making men more rare, and thereby more valuable and more desirable, and making women more abundant, and therefore less rare and less highly valuable. I'm a peaceful person, so I far prefer using the commune solution. Plus, it sets a good precedent, and it doesn't result in the deaths of a lot of good men. Wise men, brave men who, and I'm not even talking about liberal men, I'm talking about, the men on the winning side. A lot of them will, perish as well, and that's no good. But if we want a return of freedom, which is something that we should want, then we need to use one of these two options. Either war or communes that use sperm bank sperm to raise the commune's average IQ generation after generation in order to eventually be able to code the new free anarcho-capitalist world into existence and code the government out of existence. I've twice now gotten comments from people saying, traditionalism isn't coming back, or traditionalism is dead. Okay, well then let me say, number one, you might be right. But number two, if you are right, then it's not just traditionalism that's dead. It's also freedom that's dead, it's decent standard of living for the bottom 99% that's also dead, it's virtue that's also dead, it's happiness that's also dead, etc. Monogamous traditionalism that forbids premarital sex, extramarital sex, etc. is the only way to have peace, prosperity, virtue, happiness, freedom, etc. If you don't believe me, then watch my video MGTOW Disproven. No other setup works, at least not until we have companion bots. Now, once we have companion bots, then we can get rid of traditionalism and get rid of almost all biological XXers, and then we can peacefully and prosperously and fairly have a disparity between how many companion bots each man has. Every man will be able to have a companion bot, but the richer men will be able to have way more companion bots. And that will be just fine, because it won't be depriving any men of companion bots, and therefore it won't be creating any societal instability. You see, but until we get very advanced companion bots, like in the movie Deus Ex or Ex Machina, I think it was called Ex Machina, that one by the guy who made the movie Annihilation. Right, that movie, Ex Machina, like until we get advanced companion bots that are like that advanced or more, that are affordable also for all men, even poor men, or maybe you don't have to have them be affordable for poor men, but they probably at least have to be affordable for middle-class men. And then all the biological XXers can be married by the lower-class men. And then even the lower-class men will be able to get attractive women because, the rich and the middle-class guys will be choosing to be with companion bots. And then the lower-class guys, the poor guys, they'll get to be with the 10 out of 10 biological XXers. And then so even the poor guys then will be able to get very attractive women. It'll be great for them. I mean, I'm sure the women will hate it, but, at least they'll be getting a man at all, which, if those poor guys were able to afford companion bots, then all the biological XXers would not even be able to get even a 1 out of 10 man, right? So, they'll probably be grateful to have any man at all at that point. And that's fine to, slowly, gradually breed women out of existence by only breeding men, because of companion bots having replaced women. So then maybe only have one woman born for every 99 or 200 men. So you keep a backup in case society ever collapses and we need to breed the old-fashioned way again. But you never completely get rid of the XX gender, but you get rid of 99% of them. That would totally be fine. I would be totally in favor of that. There's nothing wrong with that. But until we have those super advanced companion bots like that, and they're super affordable so that, most middle-class men can afford them, until we have that, we can't get rid of gynocentrism any other way than with monogamous traditionalism. We will never have an end of gynocentrism without bringing back real, hardcore, red-pilled, sexually restrained traditionalism. Monogamous traditionalism. The traditionalism that we had in America 200 years ago. I'm all for innovating women out of existence and getting rid of traditionalism in that sense, but the current proposals for getting rid of gynocentrism that we hear in MGTOW are nothing but delusion. They result in 80% or more of men being incels. They result in mass slavery, mass poverty, out-of-control government, out-of-control gynocentrism, etc. because of the promiscuity of the top men. Until we have companion bots, the only sane way to have a society is to make it so that all men can meet their sexual needs and so that all men are in charge of all women, thereby getting rid of gynocentrism. But that's not possible without virtue. The male cohesion that virtue makes possible. It's not possible without men also being brave, monogamous, compassionate, and wise. This has been Redshift. I hope someone got something out of this video. Peace trucks for promiscuous men, including the top MGTOW men who are promiscuous and who, despite their words, actually don't give a shit about men because they don't care how much their actions are disenfranchising other men, creating gynocentrism by making female libido rare, making society far more liberal and far more tyrannical as a consequence, far more unstable, etc. These top MGTOW men don't care because life is good for them, and they don't give a shit about their actions making life far less pleasant for millions of other men, tens of millions even, right? Even downright hellish for millions of men. In short, peace trucks for men who don't care about other people, whether those other people are male or female.